Shit, Roberto, all behind the glass. And you know what we're talking about. And look, I'll make it really, really easy and really simple. I said it on Friday. I say it going into any big game, whether it's your team or my team. I offer you no excuses. So, therefore, I'm not interested in hearing yours. I mean, it is amazing to me, the level of dishonesty amongst fans, amongst media. It's just incredible watching grown adults snivel and whine and cry and ultimately deflect. And look, I almost don't blame you because you take your cues from a $9 million master of deflection, which is Jim Harbaugh. And we'll get to his press conference and his behavior in the game a little bit later on. The truth of the matter is this rhetoric and narrative about the officiating is deflecting the blame from where it really should lie. You turn the ball over 3 times in critical spots. If you want to say that the fumble at the 1 doesn't count because you scored right after it later, fine. You threw a pick 6, you threw another pick inside the 20. I don't want to hear it. And ultimately, this is why nobody likes you. Now, I don't want to hear about your scenarios. I don't want to see Zapruder film about a spot. He got to the 15. They made the ruling on the field. They're not overturning it. Don't let it come down to that. Rise above it. It's the same stuff we talked about last year when MSU played Nebraska. I wouldn't allow Spartan fans complain about a heinous call. Look, ultimately, you got to go and you got to win these games. If I told you Michigan was going to go into this game and throw a pick 6, you'd say, well, we're losing. If I told you you'd turn it over 3 times, not have a first down in the fourth quarter, you'd tell me, man, yeah, we lost that game. You lost the game. That's it. You want to complain about officiating? Great. You can talk to Rieger. I don't want to hear it. You want to complain and say somehow things are unfair? Whatever, man. Wasn't the refs throwing a pick 6. Wasn't the refs throwing a ball intercepted inside the 20. It was, and by the way, you want to blame the refs for Harbaugh catching a penalty? Newsflash. You can only act like a petulant child for so long before someone pops you. And guess what? It happened in a rough spot. That's on Harbaugh. His behavior, we've talked about it for a couple years. It's embarrassing. You know, pick your spots. He doesn't pick his spots. Every call's the end of the world, whether he's up by 40, down by 40, or in between. It gets old. You're on the road, hostile environment. Refs aren't going to do you any favors. That's part of being on the road. That's why playing on the road is tough. You wouldn't know that because, well, you didn't play anybody on the road. And the 2 opponents that actually had a pulse, you lost to. Iowa and Ohio State. So, look, you want to cast blame? I'd blame your coach. I'd blame your quarterback. That's where the blame should lie. It sure as hell doesn't go to the officiating. That's weak. But then again, that's what you are. It's what you've always been. It's why there's a phrase about Michigan. It's simple. They've never lost. They just simply run out of time. And from Lloyd blaming the crown on the field all the way to this, it's never changed. And the media carries Harbaugh's water for him. That's just the truth. I don't know. I feel alone on days like today. I watch games, I look at it, call it like it is, my team or otherwise. And like I said, you don't hear me complaining about officiating. I'm not interested in listening to you. Win the game. You had every opportunity to do it. You handed Ohio State 14 points, and OSU missed 2 chip shot field goals. Win the game. Be better. But just like you couldn't do anything in the fourth quarter at Iowa, you couldn't do anything in the fourth quarter here. That's the real deal. I don't see a whole lot of people talking about it, writing about it, commenting about it, but that's how I view it. And what your coach got away with after the game, embarrassing. Your coach not talking to the media this week, embarrassing. But that's what he is. There's no one at that university that's going to check Harbaugh. Ward Manuel is nothing but a super expensive Uber driver. Not going to check Harbaugh. What are you kidding me? Harbaugh doesn't have a boss. So he gets away with it. And nobody calls him out for it. It's crazy to me. So, no, we can talk. I want to rap about it. But if you want to bitch about officiating, Here, Rieger can be your customer service. I said it to you Friday, and I've said it for the better part of my 12 years in this city. I'm not interested in officiating tinfoil nonsense. Play better. Rise above it. Rieger, welcome.
Mike, it's good to see you. Crappy game. It's actually pretty entertaining, but listen, I think Michigan fans had a chance. I do. You go out and you say how insufferable the fan base is, and I like to fight you on it. And I thought Michigan fans had a chance to act like adults. You didn't lose the game because of officiating. You should have never been put in that position to begin with. Jim Harbaugh allowed Wilton Speight to throw the ball out of his own end zone. That was a pick six. Jim Harbaugh decided not to take a timeout late in the game when Ohio State ended up tying it up. So maybe after a Jordan Lewis magnificent punt return, you got a couple seconds to try to get in field goal range. That was a mistake. Jim Harbaugh decided to not call a timeout after the 4th and 1 spot when everybody in the stadium was frantic, when your team could tell that there was a huge momentum swing, and maybe, just maybe, you call a timeout to regroup. That's on Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh cost his team a touchdown by acting like a whiny little baby. And then he goes into the postgame presser, and he does the most, best job that he can do for his fan base. And that is bitch and moan about the officiating. So you know what that does? It takes the focus off of the awful job he did, the awful job his quarterback did, and it puts all the focus on, those officials sucked. When in the meantime, a guy that cost you $9 million, a guy that delivered promises, a guy that was supposed to be Jesus Christ himself has come here, and in 25 games, what's his biggest win? Wisconsin?
I think
At
so.
home? Maybe? Is it a 3-win Michigan State team on the road? Mike, I'm just sick of it. As a fan, as a person, Harbaugh needs to be better. And what I saw in that presser, and we could talk about the game as well, I thought it was so soft and so weak. And I thought it was really soft that not one media member in that building, in that press room, called him out. It would not have taken much. Media member could have actually made a moment for themselves, because he was whining about the officiating so much, I think somebody should have called him out.
Well, it's not a call-out to just say, Jim, three crucial turnovers. You fumbled at the one, you threw a pick six, you threw another pick deep in territory. That's the game. You're not allowed to do those things and win games on the road. I mean, you're not playing Rutgers, but nobody talks about it. And now you've started this thing, and I thought Danny Cannell, even though he was dressed like Doctor Who on Saturday, said it best. I mean, it's much like his neck brace turtleneck. It's a bad look for Harbaugh. No one here will chastise him. Again, he operates without a boss, and there's no one really who's going to. I think I read one piece, and I forget who wrote it. It might have been Sean Windsor, who just said, you know what, Harbaugh could learn from his kids.
It is funny that his kids had more class. A bunch of 18, 19, 20, and 21-year-olds had more class in a loss in a big game than the head coach did.
Yeah, but again, his own brother made him look foolish in the Super Bowl. You know, John Harbaugh and Jim are similar in age, but they couldn't be more dissimilar as people. John Harbaugh exudes class, dignity, control of his emotions. Your coach is an unhinged guy. I thought the penalty was very apropos. I mean, his behavior every single game is ridiculous. And I love the fact that people, they're mad about this alleged explanation by the ref about that being a tech in basketball. It's like, how about this? How about you pick your spots and blow up appropriately? He's blowing up at an offsides call after, a brutal interception. Yep. Dude, how about this? You act like a clown, you're going to get treated like one. I think it's amazing he hasn't incurred more penalties. He cost his team. And you know what? Here, I don't know. This is conjecture, but it's how I feel. I think the team takes its cues from him. I don't think they recovered from that spot because on the next play, Curtis Samuel could have walked into the end zone.
Well, that's why you have, I think, the wherewithal to say, hey, guys, let's talk. Almost kind of pull a rain delay like the Cubs got in Game 7. If you have a chance to say, it's not over, you hold them to a field goal, and it's not over, we go to triple overtime. Right. Not to mention, you are one of the best goal line red zone defenses in the country.
100%.
So Jim Harbaugh failed you there, too. I guess my whole point, Mike, is for him to go and say what he says, I am at the point as a Michigan fan, I'm sick of the hype. I'm sick of the act. Shut up and win some games. And I don't think it's unfair to ask in 2 years to give me one big game. I haven't seen it.
248-539-9797. And look, Sully likes questions. All right, here, I'll offer you one. Why did you lose the game? Because I think it's laughable for the narrative to be centered around officiating. It says that you either don't watch football, you don't know football, or you're not willing to live in reality. You lost the game because of 3 critical turnovers, 2 of which directly gave away 14 points to your opponent. That's why you lost the game. To blame officiating is an indictment on you and your knowledge of the game.
Yeah, don't forget about the 5 yards that you gained in the fourth quarter. That didn't help either.
248-539-9797. Michigan's weather's unpredictable, almost like